Things are pretty dead right now when it comes to NHL free agency. I would say the last significant signing that we got, if you want to call it that, was Alex Galchenyuk signing with the Senators, and that happened on October 28th. It's been a while. We are now over a month into unrestricted free agency. It opened on October 9th, and here we are. The time I'm recording this, it is November 12th, and there's still some really good names out there, surprisingly. In this video, we're going to talk about the top 10 remaining UFAs, break down the players a little bit, and I'm also going to give you guys at least one team for each player that I think would be a good fit. Now, this is just my opinion on who I think the 10 best remaining UFAs are. If there's a free agent out there that you want to hear my thoughts on that I did not talk about in this video, just be sure to leave a comment down below and I'll try to respond to as many as I can. Before we go any further, you guys know the drill. Be sure to go follow my social medias like Instagram and Twitter. If you want to talk hockey somewhere other than YouTube, links to those will be down below in the description. And of course, if you guys are new to this channel and you want to see more NHL content like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And now let's begin. Starting the video off, at number 10 we have DERICK, who played this past season as a member of the New York Islanders, and he had a pretty solid season for them, putting up 32 points in 66 games. It was definitely a nice bounce back from a miserable 2018-19 season where Brassard played for 3 different teams. Me personally, I would have liked to see DERICK Brassard just re-sign with the Islanders. He seemed like a really good fit there, and again, he's been bouncing around the league a lot over the past couple of seasons, so it would have been nice to just see him re-sign with the same team. But right now, the Islanders' sole focus is figuring out their cap situation and re-signing their franchise centerman Matthew Barzal, so I don't really think they have any intentions on bringing back Brassard, at least right now anyways. His cap hit this past season was $1.2 million, and with the way things are in the NHL right now, I can't really see him getting a raise from that no matter where he signs. As far as where he could potentially sign and what team would be a good fit, I have the San Jose Sharks in mind, playing in like a third line center role behind Logan Couture and Thomas Hertl on like a cheap short-term deal similar to the one he was playing on with the Islanders. I don't think that would be a bad option for the Sharks. At number 9, we have ILYA KOVALCHUK, who spent time this past season with the Los Angeles Kings, the Montreal Canadiens, and the Washington Capitals. Overall, he had a decent season. In 46 games, KOVALCHUK scored 10 goals and put up 26 total points. That's not awful for someone who's 37 years old. When it comes to KOVALCHUK, part of me wonders if he's just going to go back to the KHL and play in Russia for the final couple years of his professional career. That is definitely something that I could see happening, but if he does decide he wants to have another go at things in the NHL, I don't really see a team signing him for more than like $925K and for anything longer than a 1-year contract. So what team do I think is potentially a good fit for KOVALCHUK at this stage of his career? Honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing him go back to the Montreal Canadiens for a season. They're of course one of the teams he spent some time with this past season. KOVALCHUK said he loved playing in Montreal for the short time that he was there. If the Canadiens can get him on like a 1-year deal worth $925K, there's virtually no risk to that at all. KOVALCHUK can be a decent scoring threat in the bottom 6 and also eat up some minutes on the second power play unit. Moving along now, at number 8 we have ANDREAS. It's pretty crazy to think that in the 2018-19 season, this is a guy who put up 30 goals and 54 points as a 24-year-old for the Detroit Red Wings. Fast forward to now, he wasn't even given a qualifying offer by the Edmonton Oilers. We're over a month into free agency, he's still unsigned, and it's not even like he's one of the top 5 guys still available. It really is pretty insane to think just how much ATHANASIU's value has plummeted over the past year. He had a miserable season, and while I don't really think ATHANASIU will ever get back to being that 30 goal scorer, I still think he's a guy who can give you 20 goals in a season. There is a ton of offensive talent there, he has a great set of hands, there isn't many players in the NHL faster than him. The thing with ATHANASIU is just he's super inconsistent. When he's hot, he's very hot, and when he's cold, he is very cold. Me personally, I'd like to see ATHANASIU go to a team like the Ottawa Senators on sort of like a 1-year prove-it contract, similar to what they did with Alex Galchenyuk. No matter where he signs, I definitely think it'll be a short-term, cheap contract, and if that's the case, it's a low-risk, high-reward move for whoever signs him. Next up, at number 7, we have Carl Soderberg, who spent this past season as a member of the Arizona Coyotes. His offensive numbers did drop a little bit from the season prior, where he had a career-high 23 goals and 49 points in 82 games, but he definitely still had a solid season and finished tied for third on the Arizona Coyotes in goals with 17, only behind Christian Dvorak and Connor Garland. Soderberg is a player who can do various different things. His primary position is center, but he can also play the wing, he blocks some shots, lays the body a little bit, and also can play in the power play. 11 of his 35 points this past season came on the power play. The only thing with Soderberg is the fact that he is 35 years old, so there's definitely that risk that his performance could fall off, but on like a 1 or maybe 2 year contract, I think that's a risk I'd be willing to take for somebody like Soderberg. So what team do I think could be a good fit? I'm actually going to go with the Buffalo Sabres. Right now, Buffalo has the makings of having a really good top 6 in terms of their forwards, but their bottom 6 on the other hand could definitely use some work. I think Soderberg would be a really solid addition. If they do actually go ahead and sign Soderberg, that would give Buffalo a center core of Jack Eichel, Eric Stahl, Carl Soderberg, and Cody Eakin, and if you ask me, that's pretty solid. Number 6 now we have Sami Vatanen, who spent this past regular season with the New Jersey Devils, was of course traded to the Hurricanes, didn't wind up playing a regular season game for them, but did appear in 7 of their playoff games. Now the past 4 seasons or so haven't really been the greatest for Sami Vatanen, pretty much ever since the 2015-16 season where he put up 38 points. He's never really been able to get back to that level offensively, but he is still a right shot defenseman, capable of playing top 4 minutes, definitely capable of quarterbacking a second power play unit. It's pretty surprising that over a month into free agency, he's still available. The red flag when it comes to Sami Vatanen, I would definitely say, is his health. In the 2018-19 season, he only played 50 games. This past season, he missed a good amount of games due to injury as well. When healthy though, Sami Vatanen is definitely a solid defenseman, so where do I think would be a good fit for him? I actually have the Los Angeles Kings. They've definitely been one of the more quiet teams so far in free agency. They're obviously currently in the midst of a rebuild, but the way I look at this for LA is an opportunity for them to maybe sign some of these top remaining UFAs, and then if they have a strong first half of the season, LA could flip them at the deadline for future assets. Continuing on now, at number 5, I have centerman Erik HAULA, who played this past season with the Carolina Hurricanes, and then of course was traded to the Panthers at the deadline, a part of that Vincent Trocheck trade. The more and more I think back on that trade, it makes me wonder what on earth were the Florida Panthers thinking, giving up Vincent Trocheck for somebody like HAULA, who it doesn't even look like they're going to re-sign. But anyways, getting back on track, Erik HAULA is somebody who in the Golden Knights' inaugural season put up 29 goals and 55 points, career highs all around the board. Didn't really get an opportunity to try and replicate that, as he only played 15 games the following season and missed pretty much the entire year with an injury. And then of course last offseason he was sent to the Hurricanes in pretty much a cap dump for Vegas. Goal scoring wise, he was actually relatively solid this past season for the Hurricanes, 12 goals in 41 games, so across an 82 game schedule, that's a 24 goal pace. After being sent to Florida, he wasn't really able to fit in there, so where does Erik HAULA go next? I actually have the Minnesota Wild as a potential fit, so he'd be going back to the team that drafted him, back to the team where he played from 2013 up until 2017. I honestly don't think it'd be a bad fit. You look at the Minnesota Wild centers right now, like who's their number 1 center? If they view Marcus Johansson as a center, it's probably him. If not, is it Nick Bonino? I don't think Marco Rossi's going to be ready to jump into the NHL as a number 1 center right away, so I really think they could use some help up the middle, and maybe Erik HAULA could give them that. Number 4 now, I have Anthony Duclair, an all-star this past season for the Ottawa Senators. The first half of the year he was scoring at a pretty incredible rate. The last 20 games or so he was sorta ice cold, but still finished with a career high 23 goals in just 66 games. I was really hoping Duclair would just re-sign in Ottawa. He's only 25 years old and has already played for 5 different teams. This is somebody who's really struggled to fit in and find a home throughout his career so far. It seemed like Ottawa was going to be the place he would settle down and stick around for a while, but I guess not. Apparently Ottawa offered him a substantial raise and he turned it down and wanted more money, so I'm interested to see what his asking price actually is. His cap hit this past season was $1.65 million. What's a substantial raise to that? Maybe like in the $3 million range or something like that. If he turned that down, I honestly feel like he might have to settle for less than that somewhere else. A team that I think could be a good fit, I'm sure you guys could tell by the thumbnail, I would like to see him in a Red Wings uniform. He'd definitely get a lot of opportunity to play in Detroit, similar to the role he had in Ottawa. Steve Yzerman did say he's open to adding another player to the Wings through unrestricted free agency. I'm just not sure if he'd be willing to give Anthony Duclair the type of money that he wants. I'm really interested to see what ends up happening with Duclair. I'm still sort of holding out hope that he just goes back to Ottawa, but they already signed Dadonov, so I'm not sure how likely that is anymore. Getting into the top 3 now, at number 3 I have Travis HAMONIC, defenseman who's played the past 3 seasons with the Calgary Flames. I'm honestly pretty shocked that HAMONIC is still available. He's one of the guys that I definitely thought would have been off the market within the first couple of days of free agency. He's a right shot top 4 defenseman, definitely not somebody you would sign to come in and provide a lot of offense from the blue line, but he will for sure make your team tougher to play against. When free agency first opened, I was really hoping HAMONIC would sign with the Jets. I think that would have been a perfect fit. HAMONIC is from Manitoba. The Jets could definitely use another top 4 defenseman, but after the Jets traded for Paul Stastny, they don't really have a lot of cap space at all, so I feel like HAMONIC to the Jets is a lot less likely to happen now. Another team aside from the Jets that I think would be a pretty good fit for Travis HAMONIC is the Boston Bruins. They have the cap space. Their blue line obviously took a pretty big hit this offseason with Torrey Krug signing in St. Louis and them probably not bringing back Zdeno Chara, so I definitely think they could use a defenseman like HAMONIC. He fits the identity of their team and the fact that, like I said, he is tough to play against, and for some reason I just really feel like Travis HAMONIC looks like the type of guy that would be a Boston Bruin. Moving along now, at number 2 I have MIKAEL GRANLUND, another player whose value has definitely dropped a significant amount over the past year or so. Ever since being traded to Nashville, he's just never really been able to fit in there. It wasn't all that long ago when MIKAEL GRANLUND had back-to-back seasons with the Wild in which he put up 65 or more points. I really wonder if he's ever going to be able to get back to that level. Granlund's previous cap, it was $5.75 million. No matter where he signs, I don't think he's going to get anywhere close to that. The most I could see him getting is like in the $3.5 to maybe $4 million range. As far as what team could give him that type of money, I wouldn't mind seeing Granlund go to the New Jersey Devils. Right now they have about $17.2 million in cap space. They do still have to re-sign Jesper Bratt and Mackenzie Blackwood, but even after that they'll probably still have well over $10 million. Given the moves that the Devils have made so far this offseason, I definitely think they're a team that expects to be better this upcoming season, you know, signing Corey Crawford, trading for players like Ryan Murray and Andreas Janssen. If the Devils could get Granlund on a fair contract, he doesn't even have to come in and get back to being that 60-point player he was in Minnesota, even like in the 20-goal range and 45 to 50 points, I think that'd be great for New Jersey. And now finally, at number 1, it is obviously Mike Hoffman. I really don't know what's going on with him. Heading into free agency, he was a top 3 UFA behind Pietrangelo and Taylor Hall, and yet over a month into free agency, he's still available. It has now been 6 consecutive seasons for Mike Hoffman in which he's put up 20 or more goals. He actually scored 36 goals for the Panthers in the 2018-19 season. Any other year, any other free agency, Mike Hoffman is signed after the first week free agency opens at the most. The thing is, he's a guy who's going to cost a lot of money, and not a lot of teams have that money to give him. For that reason, I think the most likely scenario we see happen here with Mike Hoffman is he takes the same route Taylor Hall took and signs a 1-year contract somewhere, probably in like the $6 or $7 million range. A team that I think would actually be a really good fit and that does have the money to sign somebody like Mike Hoffman is the Nashville Predators, and also I definitely think they could use a top 6 winger. Outside of Arvidsson and Forsberg, they don't really have a lot of firepower on the wing. Nashville was a pretty mediocre team this past season in terms of offense. If you sign somebody like Mike Hoffman, immediately that is a big boost to your offense. I'm really intrigued to see what ultimately happens with Mike Hoffman and where he signs. Unless he wants to take like a cheap contract somewhere else, to me Nashville is one of the only scenarios that makes sense. That is going to wrap up today's video. Those were the top 10 remaining unrestricted free agents and where I think they will sign. Be sure to let me know down below in the comment section your predictions for all these players. Where do you think they'll sign? What do you think their contract might look like? If you guys did enjoy the video, please be sure to leave it a like. That is the best way to show your support. And of course, if you guys are new to the channel and you want to see more NHL content like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and I will talk to you all in the next video.